I stood alone in the university stadium crowd after my college graduation ceremony, watching families celebrate around me. My phone showed 0 missed calls, 0 texts. I'd sent my parents the ceremony details 3 months ago, 2 weeks ago, and the day before. They confirmed twice. My younger sister Amber's Sweet 16 party last year had 200 guests and a live band. Today, nobody from my family showed up. Not my parents, not Amber, not even a text with an excuse. I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried for the first time in years. 3 days passed like I was moving through fog. I kept checking my phone, hoping for something, anything. An apology, an explanation. Even a lie would have been better than silence. My apartment felt smaller than usual, the walls pressing in every time I looked at my diploma sitting on the kitchen counter. Friends from graduation kept texting congratulations, asking about my family. I told them there was an emergency, that my parents couldn't make it. The lie tasted bitter every time I typed it. I spent those days preparing for my new job, trying to convince myself to move forward. The position started in 2 weeks at a marketing firm downtown. Good salary, benefits, the kind of opportunity I'd worked 4 years to earn. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was trying to understand how the people who raised me could just vanish on one of the biggest days of my life. Late afternoon on the 3rd day, my phone buzzed. Mom's name lit up the screen. My heart jumped. Finally. I grabbed the phone so fast, I nearly dropped it. The text read, "Gray, honey, we need to talk about something important." Hope flooded through me. This was it, the apology, the explanation about some terrible emergency that kept them away. I called her immediately, hands shaking slightly as I pressed the button. She answered on the 2nd ring. Her voice was cheerful, light, like she was calling to chat about the weather. "Oh, Gray. Thanks for calling back so quick. I waited for it. The sorry. The we feel terrible. Something. So, I wanted to talk to you about Amber's birthday coming up." My brain stuttered. Amber's birthday? That was still 3 weeks away. Mom, what about graduation? You guys didn't show up. You didn't even text. Oh, honey, college graduations are so boring and crowded. We figured you'd understand. You're so independent. You don't need us there for validation like some people do. The words hit me like cold water. So boring. Figured you'd understand. My mouth went dry. Besides, she continued, not noticing or not caring about my silence, we have something exciting happening. Amber wants to do a Sweet 24 party. You know, like her Sweet 16, but for her 24th birthday. Isn't that creative? She's calling it a glow-up celebration. All her Instagram followers are so excited. I heard rustling on the other end. Papers, maybe, or fabric. We've got the venue booked at the Riverside Hotel downtown. The ballroom, you know the one? We're getting a live DJ, professional photographer, custom cocktails, designer decorations. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Amber deserves something special after everything she's been through with that breakup. My sister's breakup had happened 6 months ago. She dated the guy for 3 months. But in my family, Amber's minor inconveniences were treated like tragedies. The total budget is $12,000. Your father and I have already put in $9,500. But we're a little short on the final $2,500. I knew what was coming before she said it. We figured since you just graduated, you probably got some graduation money from relatives and friends. And you've been working part-time all through college, so you must have savings built up. I did have savings. Exactly $3,200. That money was earmarked for first month's rent at a new apartment closer to my job, security deposit, and moving expenses. My current lease ended in 3 weeks. The job didn't start for 2 more weeks, which meant no income until then. Family helps family, Gray. Amber really deserves this celebration. She's been through so much. I tried to find words. My throat felt tight. What about my graduation? Gray, don't be dramatic. It was just a ceremony. You still got your degree. That's what matters. Dad's voice suddenly joined the call. He must have been on speaker. Son, you're a man now. Men don't need their parents standing around for validation. Your sister, she's more sensitive. She needs that emotional support. You understand, right? That's what makes you the strong one. The strong one. I'd heard that my entire life. Gray's the strong one. He doesn't need as much attention. Gray's independent. He can handle things on his own. It had always been code for Amber comes first. We need the money by tomorrow, Mom said. The venue needs the final deposit to hold everything. I'll text you the Venmo details. Just send it when you can. Love you, sweetie. They hung up before I could respond. I sat on my couch, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. Tomorrow. They needed $2,500 by tomorrow. Money I needed to literally keep a roof over my head, and they asked for it, like they were asking me to pick up milk from the store. My phone buzzed again. Mom's text with Venmo information and a little heart emoji. I opened my banking app and stared at the number. $3,200. 4 years of part-time work during college, while juggling full course loads. Every shift at the campus bookstore, every weekend at the restaurant, every late night finishing homework after work. All of it sitting there in that account. I'd taken out $43,000 in student loans to pay for college. My parents had paid for Amber's entire tuition, plus her apartment, plus her car. They told me Amber needed more support, that I was capable of handling loans. I'd believed them. Thought maybe they were right. That I was stronger, more independent. Now they wanted my survival money for a party. I tried to call them back. No answer. Texted asking if we could talk about this. No response for hours. Finally, near midnight, Mom texted back. There's nothing to discuss. Family helps family. Send the money tomorrow. Night. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, mind spinning. Around 4 a.m, I grabbed my phone and started scrolling through Instagram. Needed to distract myself with something. Anything. Amber's story popped up first. A video. From 3 days ago. 3 days ago. Graduation day. She was at a spa. Champagne glass in hand. Laughing with someone off camera. The camera panned. Mom. Both of them in fluffy white robes. Face masks on. Looking completely relaxed. The caption read, "Pre-party prep with my bestie. Mom-daughter day." Nothing better than this. I checked the timestamp. 2:15 in the afternoon. My graduation ceremony had started at 2 o'clock. They hadn't forgotten. They hadn't had an emergency. They'd actively chosen to go to a spa instead. And Mom had commented on the post, "My beautiful girl, time with you is my favorite thing in the world." I took screenshots. Not sure why. Evidence, maybe. Proof that I wasn't crazy, wasn't being dramatic. The sun came up. I still hadn't moved from bed. My phone said 7:30. The money was due today. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table, laptop open. Banking app pulled up on my phone. The number hadn't changed. $3,200. My safety net. My future. On the table next to me, my diploma sat in its folder. Bachelor of Arts in Marketing. 4 years of work. Nobody had been there to see me walk across that stage and receive it. But they wanted my money 2 days later. I thought about compliance. What if I just sent it? Kept the peace. I'd done that my whole life. Elementary school. I wore hand-me-downs from cousins, while Amber got shopping trips for new clothes every season. I never complained. High school, I drove a 15-year-old sedan with a broken air conditioner, while Amber got a brand new SUV for her 16th birthday. I told myself it was fine. College. I worked and took loans while Amber's education was fully funded. They said it was because she needed more support, that I was more capable. I'd swallowed it all. Convinced myself that being the strong one, the independent one, was actually a compliment. But sitting there that morning, looking at screenshots of my mother and sister at a spa during my graduation, something cracked open inside me. This wasn't about strength. It had never been about strength. It was about convenience. I was convenient to overlook, convenient to underfund, convenient to ignore, and now I was convenient to exploit. I opened Venmo, typed in Mom's username. The amount field sat empty, cursor blinking. My hands shook as I typed. $1. In the notes section, I wrote, "Congrats on the party, Amber. This is all the validation you need." I stared at it for 10 full minutes. My thumb hovered over the send button. This was a line. Once I crossed it, there was no going back. My family would explode. There would be consequences. But what was the alternative? Send the money, lose my apartment, and teach them that I would always break myself to please them. I pressed send. The transaction went through. $1 sent. Confirmation appeared on screen. For about 30 seconds, I felt powerful, liberated, like I'd finally stood up for myself after 26 years. Then my phone rang. Mom's name. I almost didn't answer. But some part of me, the part that had been trained since childhood to be available to them, made me pick up, screaming, actual screaming. Not words at first, just incoherent rage. Then words formed. "How dare you? How dare you disrespect this family like this? Mom, I can't afford. Don't you mom me. Do you think this is funny? Do you think you're clever?" Dad grabbed the phone. I could hear the fumbling. "Gray. You're making a huge mistake, son. You need to fix this right now." My voice came out steadier than I expected. "I have my own expenses. I'm starting my life. That money is for rent and moving costs. We gave you life." Mom had grabbed the phone back. "We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. And you can't help your sister have one special day? You paid for Amber's entire college education. I'm still paying loans. That's different. Amber needed more support. You were always more capable. Capable of what? Being ignored? Being treated like I matter less? Don't you dare." Dad's voice, sharp and cold. "Don't you dare play victim. We're coming over right now. We're going to talk sense into you face to face. Please don't. I need space." "Space?" Mom's laugh was harsh. "You want space? Fine. You're not welcome at this party. You're not welcome in this house until you apologize and send that money. We'll see how much you like space." The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, adrenaline making my whole body shake. I'd done it. I'd actually said no to them. Then reality hit. They had keys to my apartment. They'd helped me move in 2 years ago when I first rented this place. Kept copies of the keys in case of emergency. I grabbed my wallet and drove straight to the hardware store. Bought new locks, a deadbolt, installation kit. The employee asked if I needed help. I said no. Didn't trust myself to explain without my voice breaking. Back at the apartment, I watched YouTube tutorials on my phone and changed every lock. It took 3 hours. I messed up twice and had to redo the doorknob mechanism. But eventually, I had new keys, new locks, and my parents' old keys wouldn't work anymore. I changed my banking password, my email password, my social media passwords. Anything they might possibly know. Then I blocked their numbers temporarily, just to stop the noise, just to breathe. When I unblocked them an hour later to check messages, I had 73 texts waiting. "Mom, after all we sacrificed for you. Mom, Wait until your grandmother hears about this. Mom, you were always the ungrateful one. Mom, Amber is crying because of you. Amber, you're ruining my special day, you selfish jerk. Amber, everyone's asking why my brother hates me. Amber, I hope you're happy making me cry. Amber, you're dead to me. Dad, very disappointed in the man you've become. Dad, this is not how we raised you. Dad, you're making a choice you'll regret. I scrolled through them all, feeling sick. Then came the last text, from Dad, sent just 10 minutes ago. The tone was different. Not angry, cold, calculated. You have 24 hours to make this right, Gray. If you don't send that money by tomorrow night, we'll have no choice but to take legal action. You owe us for 18 years of care. We'll sue for cost of raising you. And we're still listed as emergency contacts on your college paperwork. We'll inform them about your mental instability. Get help, son, before you destroy yourself. I read it 3 times. They were threatening to sue me, to contact my college, and claim I was mentally unstable. This wasn't just anger anymore. This was strategy. They were planning how to destroy me. I turned my phone off and sat in the dark apartment until morning came. The next day moved in slow motion. I went to my new job's office to complete pre-employment paperwork. The HR representative, a friendly woman named Carol, walked me through benefits enrollment, tax forms, all the administrative details of starting a new position. Emergency contacts? She asked. Pen ready. I hesitated. My parents' names had been my emergency contacts for everything my entire life. School forms, doctor's offices, college applications, apartment leases, always their names, their phone numbers. My friend Marcus, I said. Gave her his number. He's my emergency contact. Carol wrote it down without question. But it felt monumental. Like I'd just erased my parents from my official life. I updated everything else while I was there. Banking information, direct deposit, insurance beneficiaries. Removed their names from anywhere they appeared. It felt like surgery. Necessary but painful. Back at my apartment by 6 that evening. I heated up leftover pizza from 2 days ago and tried to feel normal. The deadline had passed. They'd said 24 hours. It had been over 30 hours since I sent that $1. My phone showed no new messages from them. Maybe it was over. Maybe they'd just cut me off and move on. Some dark part of me almost wanted that. Clean break. No more of this. 7:15. I was washing my plate when someone knocked on my door. Loud, official sounding. 3 sharp raps. I looked through the peephole. 2 police officers stood in the hallway. My stomach dropped into my feet. I thought about not answering. But that would make things worse. I opened the door, trying to keep my hands from shaking. The older officer, probably in his 50s with gray at his temples, spoke first. Are you Gray Henderson? Yes, officer. What's wrong? Did something happen? I'm Officer Bailey. This is Officer Torres. He gestured to the younger officer beside him, maybe early 30s, holding a notepad. We received a call about a wellness check and possible theft. Can we talk to you for a minute? Wellness check. Theft. The words my father had used in his text. They'd actually done it. Of course. What's this about? Officer Bailey's expression was stern, unreadable. Your parents called. They're concerned about your mental state. They say you've been sending threatening and incoherent messages. They also report that you stole $2,500 from them. They wanted us to check if you're safe and discuss the alleged stolen money. I didn't steal anything from them. My voice came out higher than normal. Can I show you something? Can we come in? Bailey asked. I stepped aside, let them into my small apartment. It felt surreal. 2 police officers standing in my living room, looking around like they were assessing whether I was dangerous. I have all our text messages, I said, grabbing my phone. I can show you everything. Officer Torres took my phone, scrolled through the conversation. Bailey looked over his shoulder. I watched their faces, trying to gauge their reactions. So you sent them $1? Torres asked. Yes. They asked me for $2,500. I couldn't afford it. So I sent $1 as a statement. Why would they claim you stole $2,500 from them? Bailey's eyes were sharp, suspicious. I don't know. I never had their money. They're trying to make me look like I did something wrong, so I'll give them money I don't have. Torres seemed sympathetic, his expression softening slightly as he read through the messages. Bailey remained skeptical, arms crossed. Do you have any mental health issues we should know about? Bailey asked. No, sir. I just graduated college. I start a new job next week. This is a family dispute about money. That's all. Torres's radio crackled. He stepped outside the apartment to take the call. Bailey and I stood in awkward silence. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Torres came back in, his face uncomfortable. Your parents are actually downstairs in the lobby right now. My blood went cold. They demanded to come up with us, but we said no. They're insisting we bring you down to mediate the situation. Bailey looked at me. You're an adult. We can't force you to talk to them, but they're threatening to file formal theft charges if you don't. How can I steal money I never had? They claim it was a verbal agreement, a family loan. These he said, she said situations get complicated in court. I felt trapped. If I refused to go down, I looked guilty. If I went down, I'd have to face them with police as audience. I'll go down, I said. The elevator ride felt like descending into hell. Officer Bailey stood beside me, Officer Torres on my other side. Neither spoke. The elevator dinged at each floor. I counted them. 5, 4, 3, 2, lobby. The doors opened. My parents stood near the front desk, and I almost didn't recognize them. They were dressed up. Mom in a nice blouse and slacks. Dad in a button-down shirt. They looked like concerned, respectable parents. The perfect image. Mom's face crumpled when she saw me. Actual tears started flowing. Gray. Oh, honey. We've been so worried. She moved toward me like she was going to hug me. I stepped back. She stopped, hand to her chest, looking wounded. Sweetie. The officers told us you've been acting strange. We just want to help you. Whatever's going on, we can work through it as a family. Dad stood beside her, expression firm but playing the role of concerned father. Son, we just want what's fair. You agreed to help your sister. We had a whole conversation about you contributing to the party. I never agreed to anything. See? Mom turned to the officers, voice breaking. He's not making sense. We talked about this just last week. He said he'd help with whatever Amber needed. Officer Bailey looked at me. Did you have a conversation about helping financially? They asked me for money. I said I needed time to think. Then I said no. Dad pulled out his phone, his movements deliberate. Officers, I have proof. He turned the screen toward Bailey and Torres. I couldn't see what it showed from where I stood. But Bailey's expression shifted slightly. This is a text message from Gray saying he'll help with whatever Amber needs for her party. My mind went blank. I never sent that. Dad turned the phone toward me. There it was. A text from a number saved as Gray, sent 1 week ago. I'll help with whatever Amber needs for her party. The number looked familiar. Then I recognized it, my old phone number. From 2 years ago, before I upgraded phones and got a new number, I'd left my old phone at their house. Thought it was just sitting in a drawer somewhere. That's not from my current phone, I said, voice shaking. That's my old number. I don't use that phone anymore. It's your number. Your name and my contacts. Dad said, smooth as glass. You sent this message. Check the date, Torres said, taking the phone. When was this sent? Last Tuesday, Dad said. What's your current number? Torres asked me. I gave it to him. He compared. The text was from my old number. Do you still have access to your old phone? Bailey asked me. No. I left it at their house 2 years ago. So you're saying they sent this message to themselves from your old device to fabricate evidence? Bailey's tone made it clear how far-fetched that sounded. Yes, I said, knowing how it looked. That's exactly what I'm saying. Mom was crying harder now, playing to the officers perfectly. Why would we do that? We're his parents. We love him. We're just trying to understand why he won't help his sister and why he's acting so paranoid. The officers looked at each other. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Look, Bailey said, turning to me. This is a civil matter. If your parents want to pursue theft charges, they can. But based on what we're seeing here, it's a family dispute over money and communication. We can't arrest anyone without clear evidence of a crime. However, Torres added, if this escalates, you should probably get a lawyer. My parents smiled. Small, satisfied smiles they tried to hide. We don't want legal trouble, Mom said sweetly. We just want Gray to honor his commitment. Pay what he promised. And we'll forget. This whole misunderstanding happened. Dad nodded. Family should stay family. But if he refuses, we'll have no choice but to protect ourselves legally. The officers looked uncomfortable now, like they realized they'd been pulled into family drama but couldn't do anything about it. We're done here, Bailey said. Keep this civil, all of you. They left through the lobby doors. I stood there, 10 feet from my parents, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath me. Mom's tears dried up instantly. You have until tomorrow morning. Send the money, or we file charges. They turned and walked out together, leaving me standing alone in the lobby. I went back upstairs, locked my new locks, and realized something with absolute clarity. They'd planned this. The fake text message, the police call, the public confrontation, all of it was orchestrated. They weren't just angry parents. They were playing chess, and I'd been moving without seeing the whole board. I needed help. Real help. But I had $17 in my wallet, and a bank account they'd apparently figured out how to manipulate. I was in deeper trouble than I'd thought. Morning came too fast. I'd spent the night researching family law, theft claims, how to prove fraud. My laptop screen burned my eyes from staring at it for hours. Most of what I learned was terrifying. Civil court cases could drag on for months. Legal fees could run into thousands. Even if I won, I'd lose money I didn't have. I found one piece of hope. In my state, verbal agreements for loans over $500 required written contracts to be legally enforceable. They had a fake text message, but texts weren't legal contracts for that amount. I had a chance, but that chance required proving the text came from them, not me. That meant forensic phone analysis, timestamp verification, expert witnesses. All things that cost money. I didn't have. I called the university legal aid clinic at 8 in the morning. A recorded message told me they were closed for summer break. Wouldn't reopen until August. 6 weeks away. My phone rang at 8:30. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Gray? This is Patricia Norton. I'm an attorney and a friend of your parents. My guard went up immediately. How did you get this number? Your parents gave it to me. Look, I'm calling informally, as a favor. Before this situation gets ugly, I wanted to reach out person to person. I don't think we should be talking. Just hear me out. I've known your family for years. Your parents are good people. This whole thing is ridiculous. You made a commitment. You should honor it. Just pay the $2,500 and everyone moves on with their lives. I didn't make any commitment. That text wasn't from me. Can you prove that? Because they have the message. You'd have to prove phone access, timestamps, device history. That requires forensic analysis. Do you know how expensive that is? Thousands of dollars. just for the expert witness. She let that sink in. Even if you somehow win, which is unlikely, you'll spend more on legal fees than the $2,500. You'll lose either way. Just pay it. And end this. This isn't about money. It's about them manipulating me. Courts don't care about family feelings, Gray. They care about evidence. Your parents have evidence. You have theories. Think about it. She hung up. I sat on my couch, head in my hands. She was right about one thing. I couldn't afford to fight this legally, but I also couldn't afford to pay them. I was trapped. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with a Facebook notification. Amber had posted something. I opened the app. Her post from an hour ago had already been shared 78 times among family and friends. When you sacrifice everything for your children, and one of them turns their back when you need them most. My parents gave my brother every opportunity in life, and now when they're struggling financially and asked him to help with something meaningful for me, he refuses. Some people forget where they came from. Some people forget that family is supposed to mean something. I'm heartbroken. My special day is ruined because my own brother won't help. Praying for him to find compassion. The comments were brutal. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, all piling on. Some I hadn't talked to in years. But they all had opinions about what a terrible person I was. Aunt Linda. Shocked and disappointed. Your parents gave him everything. Uncle Robert. This generation has no respect for family. Cousin Jennifer. Amber, you deserve better. Your brother should be ashamed. On and on. Nobody asked for my side. Nobody questioned the story. I was the villain. In a narrative they'd crafted perfectly. My grandmother called. She was 81, my father's mother, and her voice sounded fragile on the phone. Gray, sweetheart. I just saw Amber's post. What's happening? This doesn't sound like you. Finally, someone asking instead of accusing. I explained everything. The missed graduation, the money demand, the fake text, the police. She listened in silence. When I finished, she sighed heavily. Gray, I believe something's wrong here. But family is family. Can't you just give them the money and make peace? Is it worth all this fighting? Grandma, I don't have the money. And it's not really about money. They're trying to control me. I know your parents can be difficult, but they're still your parents. Sometimes we have to be the bigger person. Everyone kept saying that. Be the bigger person. Keep the peace. Give in. Nobody seemed to notice that I'd been the bigger person my entire life, and it had just taught my parents they could take and take and take. I have to go, Grandma. I love you. I love you too, sweetheart. Please think about what I said. The next day, I got an email from my new employer's HR department. Subject: Concerns regarding pre-employment status. My hands went cold as I opened it. Dear Gray, we've been contacted by an individual claiming you're involved in legal issues that weren't disclosed during your application process. While we understand this may be a personal matter, we need to schedule a call to discuss this before your start date. Please contact us at your earliest convenience. They were going after my job, my future. The one thing I had built for myself. I called HR immediately. The representative, Carol, sounded uncomfortable. Gray, I'm sorry about this. Someone claiming to be a family member called and said you're facing theft charges. They said we should know before you start working here. There are no charges. This is a family dispute. My parents are angry with me, and they're trying to sabotage my employment. I believe you, but I need to verify there are no pending criminal charges against you. It's company policy. How do I prove a negative? How do I prove something doesn't exist? I'll make some calls. Check with the county. Your start date might need to be delayed while we confirm. For how long? I don't know yet. I'll be in touch. She hung up. I sat staring at my phone. My job, the thing that would save me from all this, was now in jeopardy. That evening, I came home from buying groceries with the last of my cash. There was a notice taped to my apartment door. Noise complaint filed by concerned family members. Management received report of possible illegal activity in unit. Investigation pending. Multiple violations may result in lease termination. I ripped the notice off and went straight to the building management office. The property manager, a middle-aged guy named Tim, looked genuinely sympathetic. "Gray, I'm sorry. Your parents came by this morning. Said you're in some kind of mental health crisis. That you might be using drugs, acting erratically. They seemed really worried. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not acting erratically. This is harassment. I believe you, man. You've been a good tenant. But they said they have proof. Showed me text messages where you supposedly threatened them." "What text messages?" "I never threatened anyone. Look, I'm not trying to make your life harder. But if they keep making reports, I have to document it. Corporate policy. Too many complaints, even false ones. And I'm required to start eviction proceedings. They're lying to get me kicked out of my apartment." Tim nodded. "I figured it's something like that. But I can only do so much. If they keep coming back with complaints, my hands are tied." I went back to my apartment, feeling like the walls were closing in from every direction. Job threatened. Apartment threatened. Family destroyed. Reputation ruined. That night, I checked my bank account to figure out if I could afford to pay next month's rent. The balance showed negative $47. Impossible. I'd had $300 yesterday. I called the bank's fraud department immediately. The automated system made me enter my account number twice. Verify my identity 3 times. Wait on hold for 18 minutes. Finally, a real person. "This is Sharon with Fraud Prevention. How can I help you?" "There's a charge on my account I didn't authorize. $347 to something called Henderson Family Trust." I could hear typing. "I see that charge. It came through this morning with your security verification code. I didn't authorize it. Someone stole from my account. Sir, the charge was verified with your security code word. The one you set up when you opened the account. My security word. I'd set it up 6 years ago when I first got a bank account. My childhood dog's name. Rusty. Only my parents would know that. Someone else knew my security word. They used it to access my account. You'll need to file a police report for fraud. Then we can investigate and possibly reverse the charge. How long does that take?" "The investigation can take 30 to 60 days. I need that money now. My rent is due in 3 days. "I'm sorry, sir. Without a police report, I can't do anything." I hung up. Filed a police report online, but I knew what would happen. My parents would claim I gave them permission. Another he said, she said situation, and in 60 days, when they finally investigated, I'd already be evicted for non-payment of rent. I had $17 in cash, negative $47 in the bank, rent due in 3 days, job start date uncertain, no family support, no legal representation. My phone buzzed. Text from Dad. "Having financial trouble, son? We can make this all go away. Just send the money you owe us. We'll return what we took, drop all complaints, and everyone moves on. You have 24 hours. After that, we proceed with formal charges, and we stop being nice." I looked around my apartment. The walls I'd painted myself. The furniture I'd bought piece by piece with money from part-time jobs. The life I'd built, independent of them. They were systematically destroying it. And they were good at it. I needed a plan. But I was too tired, too broke, and too alone to figure out what that plan could possibly be. Morning of day 4. I woke up on my couch, still dressed in yesterday's clothes. My phone showed 8 missed calls from the property management company. The eviction warning notice sat on my coffee table next to an empty ramen cup. I had 72 hours before rent was officially late. After that, the late fees would pile on. After that, Eviction proceedings could start. I called Marcus, my best friend since sophomore year of college. Told him everything. He offered to lend me money, but he was saving for his own wedding in 3 months. I couldn't take what he'd worked for. Sitting there, exhausted and desperate, I remembered something. My parents' house had a safe in their bedroom closet. Inside that safe were documents belonging to me: my social security card, birth certificate, and savings bonds my grandparents had given me throughout my childhood. Those bonds were mine. Completely, legally mine. My grandparents had put them in my name. I'd never cashed them, just left them in my parents' safe for safekeeping. Last I checked, they were worth about $2,000. $2,000 would cover rent, buy me time to start my job, and figure out the rest. But going to my parents' house felt dangerous. What if they were there? What if they called the police again? Claimed I was breaking in. I checked Amber's Instagram. She'd posted a story 20 minutes ago. She and Mom were at the venue doing final setup for the party tomorrow. Dad was tagged in a post at a rental company picking up tables. The house would be empty. I knew it was risky, but I was out of options. I drove to my childhood home, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. The neighborhood looked exactly the same. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained houses, the park where I'd learned to ride a bike. I pulled into the driveway. Their car was gone. I tried the garage code, the one they'd had since I was in middle school. It still worked. The garage door opened with a mechanical groan. I slipped inside through the garage, into the kitchen. The house smelled like my childhood. Coffee and vanilla candles. Family photos covered the walls. Most of them featured Amber. A few included me, mostly from when I was younger. Their bedroom was upstairs. I climbed the steps quietly, even though I knew nobody was home. Old habits. In their closet, behind Mom's shoe rack, the safe sat mounted to the wall. The combination was my birthday. 0723. I'd known it for years. The safe opened. Inside, my documents were right where I'd left them. Social security card, birth certificate, and a bundle of savings bonds held together with a rubber band. I took them. Just what was mine, nothing else. As I was about to close the safe, I noticed a folder labeled Gray College Fund tucked in the back. I'd never seen it before. I opened it. Inside were bank statements, deposit records. My grandparents had been depositing money into an account for my college education since I was born. $200 a month for 18 years. The statements showed the deposits clearly. By the time I graduated high school, there was $42,000 in that account. $42,000 meant for my college tuition. I'd taken out $43,000 in student loans. My hands started shaking as I flipped through the statements. Withdrawals started my freshman year of college. Large withdrawals. $5,000 here, $8,000 there. By my sophomore year, the account was empty. There were notes in my father's handwriting on some of the statements. Amber's car down payment. Amber's apartment deposit. Amber's study abroad program. They'd stolen my college fund. The money my grandparents had saved for 18 years. They'd taken it and spent it on Amber, then told me I had to take loans because they couldn't afford to help me. I pulled out my phone and photographed every single page. 37 pages of evidence. Theft, embezzlement, whatever the legal term was, they'd stolen from me. I put everything back exactly as I found it, except for my documents and bonds. Closed the safe. Left through the garage. As I was backing out of the driveway, a car pulled up. Not my parents. The neighbor from next door. Mrs. Donovan, an older woman who'd lived there for 30 years. She walked her dog past our house every evening. She saw me, waved me down. I stopped, rolled down my window, trying to look casual. Gray. Is that you? What are you doing here? Just picking up some things, Mrs. Donovan. She looked at me more carefully. Are you all right, honey? You look terrible. I must have looked as bad as I felt. 4 days of barely sleeping, barely eating, constant stress. I'm fine. Just some family stuff. She glanced around, then leaned closer to my car window. Come to my house for a minute, please. Something in her tone made me agree. I parked on the street and followed her into her house next door. She made me sit at her kitchen table and immediately put a sandwich in front of me. Turkey and cheese. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until I smelled food. I ate it in about 6 bites. She sat down across from me with coffee for both of us. I know what's happening, she said quietly. I heard your parents talking in their driveway yesterday evening. I was watering my garden. They didn't see me behind the fence. I waited, your father said, and I quote, "He'll learn you don't disrespect this family." Your mother said, "By the time we're done, he'll be begging to pay us." My stomach turned over. They were laughing about it, Gray, talking about their strategy like it was some kind of game. I was horrified. But I didn't know how to reach you. Why are you telling me this? Because I've watched your parents treat you differently than your sister your entire life. I've always thought it was wrong, but it wasn't my place to say anything. But this? This has gone too far. They're trying to destroy you. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'll help you, whatever you need. I'll be a witness if you pursue legal action. I'll testify about what I heard them say. You'd do that? Honey, I'm 73 years old. I've lived next to your parents for 30 years. I've watched you grow up. You were always the one left behind, the one who got less. And you never complained. You just worked harder. That takes strength. But you shouldn't have to be strong alone. For the first time in days, I felt something other than panic. Hope, maybe. Or at least the possibility of hope. She made me another sandwich and sent me home with a container of homemade soup. Wrote her phone number on a piece of paper and made me promise to call if I needed anything. The next morning I cashed the savings bonds. The bank said it would take 2 business days for the funds to clear. I'd have the money by Monday. That would cover rent with 2 days to spare. I used the free consultation I'd found online with a lawyer named Thomas Brennan. Showed him the photographs of the college fund statements. He sat back in his chair, whistling low. This is embezzlement. They stole from you. And the fraudulent bank charge is identity theft. The fake text message is forgery. You have a strong case. What would it cost to pursue? Litigation like this could run $20,000 to $30,000 in legal fees. Takes months, maybe over a year. My hope deflated. However, he continued, I could take this on contingency. I cover the upfront costs, and I take a percentage of whatever we recover. But you need to understand, if we do this, it will permanently destroy your relationship with your parents. They already destroyed it. Then, let's make them pay for what they've done. Literally. That afternoon, Brennan drafted a cease and desist letter. It detailed every illegal thing my parents had done. Theft of the college fund. Identity theft for the bank charge. Harassment. Fraud. It demanded they stop all contact immediately and return the $42,000 they'd stolen, plus interest calculated over 8 years. The letter was delivered by a process server at 4 in the afternoon. I wasn't there to see their faces, but I imagined them. I felt powerful for the first time in a week. That feeling lasted exactly 3 hours. At 7 that evening, my phone rang. Amber's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. She was crying hysterically. What did you do? Mom had a panic attack. Dad's talking about selling the house. The party is tomorrow, and you're ruining everything. I'm taking back what's mine, Amber. You're going to destroy this family over money? Over stupid money? No. They tried to destroy me. I'm just standing up. I hate you. She was screaming now. I hope I never see you again. You're not my brother anymore. She hung up. Within minutes, my phone exploded with texts from extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't talked to in years, all of them attacking me. My parents had already spun the story. I was suing them for no reason. I was mentally unstable. I was making false accusations. They were innocent victims of their ungrateful son. I blocked everyone except my lawyer and close friends. That night, around 11, I heard breaking glass. I ran to my living room. My window was shattered. A brick sat on my floor with a note attached. Drop the lawsuit, or else. I called the police. Officer Torres responded. He remembered me from before. You need to get security cameras, he said quietly while examining the window. This is going to get worse before it gets better. He was right. I stayed at Marcus's house that night. Didn't feel safe in my apartment anymore. The war had officially begun. Morning of Amber's party. I installed security cameras at my apartment, the kind that connected to my phone, and recorded everything. Cost me $200 I could barely afford. But Officer Torres had been right. I needed evidence. The savings bond money had cleared. I paid rent and the late fees with 15 minutes to spare before the property management office closed for the weekend. The relief was so intense, I almost cried in the office. My job's HR department had called that morning too. They'd verified no criminal charges existed against me. My start date was confirmed for Monday, 4 days away. I'd survived long enough to make it to actual employment. I felt like I was crawling toward the finish line, bloody and exhausted, but still moving. Around 10 that morning, I got a Facebook message from someone named Jessica Hartley. The name meant nothing to me. You don't know me, but I dated your sister's ex-boyfriend. I saw your family drama online. There's something you should know about why they needed that money. She sent screenshots, receipts, and invoices. The venue rental for Amber's party, $2,000. DJ service, $1,200. Photographer, $800. Decorations and catering, $2,000. Total, $6,000. Not $12,000. $6,000. My parents had lied about the cost. They'd been planning to pocket the difference. Jessica sent more screenshots. Conversations between Amber's ex and his friends. Amber's parents are always pulling this. They told everyone her car cost $30,000. It was really $18,000. They pocketed the rest from family who contributed. They did it for her college apartment too. Said it was $3,000 a month. It was $1,900. Collected money from relatives claiming higher costs. It was a pattern. Years of lying about costs, collecting money from family members, and keeping the difference. I called Thomas Brennan immediately. This changes everything, he said. We can add pattern of fraud charges. But Gray, this is going to make them more desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things. I need to expose this. Other family members deserve to know they've been scammed too. Let me handle it through legal channels. Don't go rogue and confront them yourself. I agreed, but I felt restless, like I needed to do something. That evening, I couldn't help myself. I drove past the venue where Amber's party was happening, the Riverside Hotel ballroom. I parked across the street where I had a clear view of the entrance. People arrived in nice clothes. I recognized aunts, uncles, cousins, the same people who'd called me ungrateful and selfish online. They walked in laughing, carrying gifts. The decorations visible through the windows looked nice, but not $12,000 nice. Just regular party decorations. My parents stood at the entrance greeting guests. Dad in a suit, Mom in a cocktail dress, playing the role of proud parents. Everyone who saw them probably thought they were wonderful people throwing a beautiful party for their daughter. I took photos, documentation of the actual party setup, evidence that it didn't match the inflated costs they'd claimed. I was about to leave when someone tapped on my car window. I jumped, heart racing. My grandmother stood there, wrapped in a shawl despite the warm evening. I rolled down the window. "Grandma? What are you doing?" I left the party. Knew you'd be out here somewhere. She opened the passenger door and got in. We sat in silence for a moment. I believe you, she said finally. About everything. You do? I talked to that Jessica girl myself. Did some digging of my own. Looked through old financial records. She pulled out a folder from her large purse. I've been giving you and Amber equal amounts of money for birthdays and Christmas for 26 years. $200 each. Twice a year. She opened the folder. Bank records. Deposit slips. Cards she'd kept copies of. But when I asked you and Amber recently how much you'd received from me over the years, your answers were very different. Amber said around 10,000. You said around 5. The actual amount should be closer to 10,400 for each of you. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. They've been stealing from you your entire life, keeping half of what I gave you and giving it to Amber instead. I gave equal amounts. They made it unequal. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause all this family trouble. You didn't cause anything. You revealed what was already there. And I'm ashamed I didn't see it sooner. She squeezed my hand. I'm changing my will. They won't get a penny. And I'm testifying on your side in court. Before I could respond, commotion erupted at the venue entrance. People were coming out looking confused. Amber stood on the sidewalk crying, mascara running down her face. Grandma and I watched as the scene unfolded. A man in a DJ company shirt was arguing with my father. A woman with professional camera equipment was packing up her gear. Apparently, neither had been paid final amounts. They'd been promised cash on arrival and my parents didn't have it. The vendors were leaving. The DJ pulled his equipment out. The photographer got in her car and drove away. Guests stood around confused. Amber was having a complete meltdown on the sidewalk. My parents were scrambling, trying to convince the vendors to stay, promising to get the money. But they didn't have it. They'd spent it. Or planned to keep it. And now their scheme was collapsing, in front of 70 witnesses. Grandma made a small sound that might have been satisfaction. Karma, she whispered. Then Mom spotted my car, spotted me sitting in it. She ran across the street, heels clicking on pavement, face contorted in rage. You did this, she was screaming, banging on my window. You sabotaged the party. You called the vendors. You ruined everything. I hadn't done anything to the vendors, but she was beyond logic. Dad ran over, tried to pull me out of the car through the open window. I hit the lock button just in time. Grandma yelled at them to stop. She got out of the car, stepped between me and my parents. Stop it, both of you. I know what you've been doing. Mother, get back in the party. This doesn't concern you. It concerns me completely. I know about the stolen college fund, the lies about costs, the stealing from Gray for years. I have evidence. Bank records, 20 years of them. Mom's face went pale. Dad's jaw clenched. Family members had followed them across the street. A crowd was forming. Everyone could hear this. You don't know what you're talking about, Dad said, voice tight. You're confused. I'm a retired accountant. I'm not confused. I have documentation of every dollar I gave Gray that you redirected to Amber instead. I have proof you stole his college fund, and I'm testifying against you in court. The crowd murmured. Aunt Linda stepped forward. What's she talking about? What college fund? Uncle Robert. What money was stolen? My parents were surrounded now. Family members demanding explanations. The perfect image was cracking in real time. Amber, hearing all this, turned on them too. You said Gray was the problem. You told me he was just jealous. You lied to me. She was crying harder, but now the anger was directed at our parents instead of me. Mom tried to control the situation. Everyone, please. This is a misunderstanding. We can discuss this privately, but Grandma wasn't done. She addressed the crowd. They've been inflating costs and pocketing the difference for years. This party was supposed to cost $12,000. The actual cost was $6,000. They were going to keep $6,000. Multiple family members reacted with shock. Apparently, many of them had contributed money for the party based on the $12,000 figure. The empire was crumbling. Years of manipulation exposed in minutes. Then my phone rang. The property manager. Gray, I'm sorry to call on a Saturday night. Your apartment was broken into. Someone trashed it. Police are here. You need to come home. My brief moment of victory evaporated. I looked at my parents through the car window. Even caught, even exposed, they'd managed one final attack. I have to go, I told Grandma. I'm coming with you. We drove back to my apartment. The security cameras I'd just installed that morning would show who did it. But my home, my safe space, was destroyed. When we got there, the damage was extensive. Furniture slashed, dishes smashed, clothes torn from the closet and shredded. My laptop screen cracked. Everything I owned was destroyed. Officer Torres was there again. He looked grim. Your cameras caught 2 people. They wore masks. But the timestamps show this happened during your sister's party. Your parents were at the party. So it wasn't them directly. They hired someone, probably. But without identifying the people in the footage, it's hard to prove who sent them. The estimated damage was over $4,000. Everything I owned that had any value was destroyed. I stood in the middle of my trashed apartment and felt something break inside me. Not my spirit, something else. The last thread of doubt. The last small voice that said maybe they'd change. Maybe they'd realize what they'd done. Maybe there was hope for reconciliation. That thread snapped. This was war. And I was done playing defense. I stayed at Marcus's apartment that night, and the next, and the next. Couldn't bear to be in my own place surrounded by destruction. Marcus and his fiancée gave me their guest room and refused to let me feel like a burden. That's what friends are for. Marcus said simply. On Monday, I started my new job. Showed up in one of the 3 shirts that hadn't been completely destroyed. Pants I'd borrowed from Marcus. Nobody knew what I'd just been through. I was just the new guy in marketing. The routine of work felt surreal. Coffee in the break room. Meetings about campaigns and strategies. Learning names and procedures. Meanwhile, my real life was a legal battle and destroyed apartment. Tuesday morning, Thomas Brennan called. Their attorney wants to settle. My heart jumped. Settle how? They'll return the $42,000 from the college fund. Drop all harassment. Sign a no-contact agreement for minimum 5 years. In exchange, you drop all criminal complaints. What about the apartment damage? Without identifying who they hired, that's legally separate. But I pushed hard. They've agreed to add $10,000 for emotional distress. That'll cover your damages and then some. $52,000 total. My college fund returned. Plus damages. What do you think I should do? Take it. Litigation could drag on for 2 years. This gets you paid within 30 days and gets them out of your life. Sometimes the best victory is walking away with what you're owed. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Let's do it. The settlement meeting happened on Thursday. Brennan's office, neutral territory. I sat on one side of a long conference table. My parents sat on the other with their attorney, Patricia Norton. They looked different, smaller somehow. Dad's face was drawn. Mom wouldn't make eye contact. They'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Patricia Norton laid out the settlement terms in formal legal language. $42,000 returned. $10,000 additional payment. Restraining order with no contact for 5 years minimum. They admitted no wrongdoing publicly but signed a private acknowledgement of debt. My parents signed the papers in silence. No apologies. No explanations. Just signatures. As they were standing to leave, Mom paused. Looked at me for the first time. You destroyed this family. I met her eyes, kept my voice level. No. You did. I just stopped letting you destroy me." They left without another word. That was the last time I saw my parents for 3 years. 2 days after the settlement, I got an email from Amber. Not attacking this time. Different tone. "I didn't know about the college fund. I didn't know they were stealing from you. They told me you were just jealous of me. I believed them because that's what I wanted to believe. It made me feel special instead of guilty. I'm moving out of their house. Getting my own apartment. I need distance from them too. I'm not ready to talk to you yet. Maybe someday. But I needed you to know I didn't know the full truth." I wrote back simply, "I hope you find what you need. Take care of yourself." It wasn't reconciliation, but it was closure. The settlement money came through in 3 weeks. I paid off my student loans completely. Every single penny of $43,000 in debt, gone. I'd been prepared to pay those loans for 10 years. Now I was free. I used the remaining money to replace everything destroyed in the apartment. New furniture, new clothes, new laptop. Put a down payment on a small condo closer to work. Started an emergency fund with 3 months of expenses saved. Mrs. Donovan became a regular presence in my life. She invited me for Sunday dinners. Taught me how to make her famous pot roast. On holidays, I went to her house instead of trying to create my own sad solo celebration. Jessica Hartley, the woman who'd sent me evidence about the party costs, became an unexpected friend. We met for coffee and bonded over stories of surviving toxic family dynamics. She introduced me to a whole community of people who'd had to cut off harmful relatives. Officer Torres checked on me once, about a month after everything settled. Stopped by while on patrol. "You doing okay, kid?" "Better than okay. Thank you for believing me. I've been a cop for 15 years. You learn to spot the difference between family disputes and family abuse. What they did to you was abuse." He shook my hand. "You're stronger than you think." My grandmother stayed in my life, calling twice a week, visiting once a month. She officially changed her will, cutting my parents out completely. Set up a trust for Amber that I would manage when the time came. "She's going to need guidance they can't give," Grandma said. "She's not a bad person. Just raised by the wrong values." 6 months after everything ended, I got a promotion at work. Project lead on a major campaign. It came with a significant raise and my own office. I moved into my condo, had a small housewarming party. Marcus and his fiancée, Mrs. Donovan, Jessica, a few coworkers I'd become friends with, and Grandma. We stood in my living room, paper plates with pizza, plastic cups with cheap wine, and I looked around at these people. My chosen family. People who showed up not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Grandma pulled me aside while everyone else was chatting. "I'm proud of you. Not just for standing up to them, but for building this." She gestured at the room full of people. "This is what family is supposed to be. I couldn't have done it without you." Yes, you could have, but you didn't have to. That's the difference. 1 year after my graduation, I was at a work conference in Denver. The company was sending our whole department, and I'd been selected to present our campaign results to the executive team. I stood backstage, waiting to be called up. My phone buzzed with good luck messages from Marcus, Mrs. Donovan, Jessica. Grandma had sent a text. "Knock them dead, sweetheart." They called my name. I walked onto the stage. The audience applauded. Not because they had to, but because I'd earned it. I gave my presentation, talked about the campaign strategies, the results, the creative choices we'd made. When I finished, the room applauded again. The CEO stood up to shake my hand, mentioned my work in his closing remarks as an example of excellence. After the session ended, I walked out into the hotel lobby. Marcus had flown out to surprise me. He was standing there with a small bouquet of flowers, grinning like an idiot. "Couldn't let you celebrate alone," he said. We went to dinner that night. Marcus, his fiancée who'd come with him, and 2 coworkers who'd become real friends. We sat in a restaurant overlooking the city, lights spreading out below us, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, not the absence of conflict. Real peace. The kind that comes from knowing you stood up for yourself and survived. The kind that comes from choosing your own path instead of following someone else's map. My phone buzzed during dessert. A number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't check it, but something made me look. Text message. Saw your presentation online. Company posted it on their website. You did really well. This is Amber. Still not ready to talk, but wanted you to know I saw it. Proud of you. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back. Thank you. That means something. She didn't respond, but it was enough. People ask me now if I regret how everything went down. If sending that $1 was worth all the pain that followed. Here's what I learned, what I want you to understand. Standing up for yourself will cost something. Always. It might cost you family. It might cost you the illusion of belonging. It might cost you the comfortable lie you've been telling yourself about who people are. But staying silent costs more. It costs your dignity, your future, your sense of self. My parents taught me I was less important than my sister, less deserving, less worthy of love and attention and resources. They taught me my job was to be strong, so they could be weak, to succeed, so they could claim credit, to give, so they could take. They were wrong. The money was never the point. It was never really about $2,500 for a party. It was about them needing me to know my place. Below them. Below Amber. Forever grateful, forever less, forever willing to sacrifice myself so they could feel powerful. That $1 I sent, that was me saying, I'm worth more than this. My needs matter. My future matters. I matter. And once I said it, once I truly stood up, everything changed. Not easily. Not painlessly. God knows it wasn't painless. But it changed. I lost parents who never really saw me. I gained people who do. My graduation day, I sat alone in a parking lot and cried because nobody came. 1 year later, I stood on a stage and looked out at people who chose to celebrate me. No family obligation. No forced attendance. Just genuine pride from people who valued what I'd built. That's the lesson I want you to take from this. You don't owe anyone your dignity. Not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone. If people in your life make you feel less than, make you shrink yourself to accommodate their egos, make you question your worth, you have permission to walk away. It won't be easy. They'll call you ungrateful, selfish, dramatic. They'll play victim and make you the villain. They'll recruit others to their side. They'll use every manipulation tactic they know. But on the other side of that pain is freedom. Real freedom. The kind where you build a life based on your values, not their expectations. Nobody showed up to my college graduation. But everyone who mattered showed up for my life. And that's worth more than any family dinner where I'm invisible. Worth more than any inheritance with strings attached. Worth more than keeping the peace while slowly disappearing. You are worth standing up for. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I'm living proof that you can lose everything and still rebuild something better. Something real. Something yours. Now I have a question for you. And I really want to hear your thoughts. In the comments. Have you ever had to choose between keeping family peace and protecting your own well-being? What did you choose? And would you make the same choice again? Your story might help someone else who's struggling with the same decision right now. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, or if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please hit that like button, share this with them, and subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in the hardest moments. Your support helps me keep sharing these real, raw experiences that remind us we're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. And remember, standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. And you deserve to survive. You deserve to thrive. Take care of yourselves out there. Choose people who choose you. And never, ever let anyone convince you that you're worth less than you are.